Oh, hey.
Hi, everybody. Hey, Heather.
Hi, Mike. What are you holding?
I am holding one of those solar dancing things of Her
Oh,
Majesty, the Queen, who just died about 4 hours ago. So I would like to start the show by expressing my sympathy to all of my fans from the UK, as well as the whole British Commonwealth, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, the whole enchilada. So I think I speak for most Americans that we had the greatest of respect for her. And I felt that she was kind of like a grandmother I never had. So to begin the show, I would like to play something on the melodica in her honor. Thank you. I know that was terrible. I just had this idea like 10 minutes before the show to honor her with God Save the Queen on the melodica.
well, that was very thoughtful of you.
Oh, well,
Should
thank you.
should we give her a moment of silence before we continue?
Okay, here
Okay,
we go.
moment of
One,
silence.
two, three.
She will be missed.
Yes, let me show you her dancing, although it's going to look awful in this direct sunlight. Let me get her going.
Oh, be gentle with the queen.
She can take it. She was kind of tough. There she goes.
Nice.
So I got that for my mother as a gift when I went to Switzerland,
Mhm.
and I liked it so much that I kept it in there. I never gave it to her, so don't tell my mother that.
Well, thank you for showing us that. Really do appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, let's talk about other stuff.
Yes.
So I
What's new
understand
with
you have
you?
more Star Trek trivia for us.
I do. I have Star Trek trivia and I have some Queen Elizabeth trivia.
All right.
But before we get started, if you guys have a question that you want Mike to answer, put it in the chat. We answer them in the order that they are received. So the earlier you get it in, the more likely it is we will answer it. And Mike, I heard that you did some traveling. Where did you go? I love hearing these stories.
Yes, I just came back from Burning Man.
Oh my God, how was it?
Yes, I hated to not tell you guys the last live stream, but I don't like to broadcast it when I'll be out of town. But it was, to be honest, there were great times and there were bad times. I I got a ticket at the last minute, and my friend who I went with in 2018 kindly invited me into her camp, but I didn't know anybody else in her camp, and there were like 20 other people, and I felt like a plus one, and everyone was very nice to me, but um, shall we say, I just felt like I didn't fit in very well, and the weather was awful. I mean, that we're in a record-breaking heat right now in the Southwest. So it got up to 105, dust storms 3 days in a row, and I was living out of a little tent, and it was tough. Nevertheless, in the mornings and at nighttime, I had fun. It was just between about 11 and 6 o'clock. It was just too hot to do anything. Um, Yeah.
So,
So to be honest, I am in no hurry to go back at this point. I think the only way I would go back is if I had air conditioning and a camp where I felt I belonged. Um, and I did make good connections with the math camp and the wordplay camp, who I think would be happy to have me. But I don't own a trailer or an RV. They're ridiculously expensive to rent Burning Man week. So I'm just going to kind of leave that one up to chance. But there's a good chance I will not return for a long time, perhaps never.
oh,
Uh,
that's sad.
I don't view it as sad. It's just it's just the way it is. In 2018, I really liked it because it was new, and but this time I felt, if anything, Burning Man is changing for the worse. I think it's becoming less of an art thing and more of just an EDC, what's it called, electronic dance music kind of festival. And
Yeah,
there's a
EDC.
lot. It's a younger thing now, but a lot of these young people have never been before, and I think they're changing it into something that is different. I'm sure they would say it's for the better, but for me, a middle-aged man who likes classical music and just games and art, and who doesn't need blaring EDC music in his life, it's changing for the worse. And a good example of this is I went to the temple to observe a performance by the Burning Man Philharmonic, and they got totally drowned out by an enormous art car blaring electronic dance music, and they completely ruined it. And I see that
That's
as symbolic of the way Burning Man is changing.
that's so rude. Why
Yeah,
would you
I
do
don't.
that?
I'm sure that they didn't realize they were doing it, but these cars have like sound systems that are probably worth in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they just blare music really, really far. And
So, I guess that means we're not going to get a video of you brave dancing.
no,
Okay.
no, the 2018 Burning Man, I wasn't even familiar with that kind of music, and maybe I liked it a little bit, but no, this time it just really annoyed me, especially how they ruined the performance by the orchestra. So
I'm sorry.
yeah,
That
so
stinks.
but like I said, I had some good times too, and I came back with a lot of memories. And but I think the era between the 2018 and the 2022 Burning Mans, I think, is going to kind of mark a symbolic beginning and end of shall we say, a soul searching period of my life. But I think I've kind of come full circle and ready to just be me and move on.
So, what's next then after Burning Man? What are you excited to try next?
I'll just say that I have a trip to Europe planned soon. This is
Oh,
not going to be an adventurous trip, um, but I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be a nice other side of the coin from Burning Man to have kind of a luxurious trip, where I
yeah,
can just enjoy myself. And
yeah.
I don't need to be challenged all the time, but I do need to be challenged some of the time. And I'm already have dates scheduled with some of my people in my climbing group here to do Kilimanjaro next year. So
Oh,
I'm
that's
excited about that, and
exciting.
we just had a dinner last night to discuss it.
Oh, that's fantastic. I can't wait to see the pictures from that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
All right,
So, are you ready to get started?
I'm ready to get started.
Fantastic. Shall we start off with a trivia?
Oh, and by the way, I want the record to show that I'm wearing black in honor of the Queen. But I hear you have some Star Trek trivia.
I do. I am not wearing black. I do have one or two questions about Queen Elizabeth to honor her passing.
Okay,
So you want to start off with those and then we'll go to Star Trek?
let's do that.
Fantastic. So the very first question is what was Queen Elizabeth's favorite dog or type of dog, breed of
Okay,
dog?
I'll type it in the private chat.
Okay, so if you guys know the answer to that, put that in the chat and we will see who gets the answer. As we are waiting for you guys to do that, we will take a look and see what your gambling questions are. Yes, Mike, you are absolutely correct. You got that right. Nice.
She loved her dogs.
She did. She really did. So our first question comes from Vince. And hey, Vince, good
Hey,
to see
Vince.
you. Always good to see him.
Yep.
Michael, I really enjoyed the trivia stuff that you offered during the live streams. Thank you so much for taking the time to keep offering these. I
You're
really love
welcome.
the trivia that you do too.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, I was going to do planetary trivia this one, but I'll save that for another time. And it's in deference to more Star Trek trivia.
Awesome. And then our next, so that was more of a statement. Our next question, it looks like it could be for either one of us. Michael, I just started a job as a blackjack dealer, and I was wondering, what is the top advice to a new employee at a local casino?
Well, Heather, I think you could answer that better since you were a dealer and I never have been.
Thank you. So Jonas, just so you know, casinos hire people based on their personality, how friendly they are. If they could talk to their people on the table, keep them there for long hours. A lot of times dealers have trouble with this. So what I tell dealers to do is talk about what excites you. If you love, football, talk about your favorite football game. If you love a TV show or movie series, talk about that. And you will find the people that agree with you and talk with you. And then they'll end up being on your table for hours. You'll have an enjoyable experience, and the casino will be happy because they're making more money. So just one of the many tips I have for new casino dealers.
Yes, amen to that. Please try to make it fun for the players. Please be sociable. And I'm sure a lot of players will not respond back because they just want to play, and that's their right.
That's true.
But at least give the player a chance. And also, I hope that you will give advice when asked if you know the correct strategy. Like if a player asks, what do you recommend I do here? Just say something like, the book recommends doubling. That way, by saying the book recommends, it deflects the blame off of you. And I'm sure it will eventually happen where you say that, the player loses, and they get angry. But please don't let that jade you. I think that's going to be less than 1 in 100 times. But so please, there's going to be players who are jerks either way. I think that it's just a cost of the job. But please don't get jaded by the bad players, and just make it fun.
Yeah, it's very easy to get jaded as a dealer, especially when you do have those players that you were talking about, Mike, where they don't want to talk or say anything, or they just want silence. And then that's the other thing, is read your players. So if they don't want to talk, don't talk. Like, don't bug them. So you're absolutely right about that. And as we go forward, remember, if you guys have a question for Mike, please put it in the chat. We are a little low on questions, so please get your questions in there. We have a couple answers to the trivia question, and Jason was the very first one to get it. Jason said corgi. You are absolutely correct. Good job. And then the next trivia question. So Jason, you're going to give yourself 1 point. Our next trivia question is, let's see. This is a good one. So what age did Queen Elizabeth become a homeowner, making her the youngest person, I believe, ever to own a home or an estate? So if you know the age that she bought her first home or got her first property, please put it in the chat. And while we are waiting for people to answer, we do not have any more casino questions. And Mike, that is not correct. She was not that age when she first got her first when she got her first property.
Well, it was just a guess.
It's close. So if you guys know the answer to that, put that in the chat. Mike, do you have any questions from the forum that we could answer?
I forgot to check, but let's see. But meanwhile,
Okay.
why don't you ask another question about Her Majesty?
Sounds good. So again, if you guys know the answer to this, put it in the chat. What age did Queen Elizabeth become a homeowner? And she was one of the youngest to do so. Okay, so we have a question while we're waiting. So our next question is from Jason. Is it best to play craps with the numbers as well?
I think what he's asking is, should you bet on the numbers, like making place bets or buy bets? The strategy I recommend is to make pass, don't pass, come and don't come bets, only backing them up with as much odds as you're comfortable with. Now, I know a lot of players like to buy all the numbers, and I'm not going to wag the finger of shame at you if you do, because the house advantage is still fairly low on these bets, and it's certainly a lot better than making proposition bets in the middle of the table, and the bets last many rolls, as opposed to just one and done type bets like the Yo 11 or the any craps. So, but I must say that if you're asking me, should I make them? I would say no, in deference to the other bets that I just mentioned.
Yeah, that's a really good point. The lower the house edge, the better. And then 6 and 8 too are always good if you want to play the numbers.
Okay.
Okay. So we have another question for you. It is, I am from Connecticut and the local casinos don't have Ultimate Texas Hold'em. Do you know, or can you speculate why? It seems to be very popular.
I know the casinos have to pay a monthly rental fee for that game. That might put them off a little bit. And might be that they've had it and just didn't do well with it. That game doesn't do well in every market. But ultimately, you'd have to ask them. Some casinos just don't like the novelty games as much as others.
Yeah, that's a good point. And they're always bringing in and taking out games. It's a normal thing. Okay, so let's see who answered the trivia question correctly. And we had one person guess, was she 1 day old? That's a very good guess, but that is not the correct answer. So the correct answer to that trivia question is she was 6 years old, being the youngest to own property at that age. 6 years old.
Okay.
Okay, so one more trivia question for the Queen.
Okay.
Okay, so our next trivia question is true or false. So it should be really, really easy. True or false? Queen Elizabeth owned an elephant, 2 giant turtles, a jaguar, and a pair of sloths. True or false?
That's awfully specific.
Yeah, but when you're lying, you could be awfully specific too.
All right.
So if you guys know the answer to that trivia, put it in the chat. And Mike, you are correct.
Yes.
You got that one right. Okay, so our next casino question, while we're waiting for everyone's answer, is from Mr. Big. And Mr. Big says, your anti-martingale strategy on your website uses the player bet instead of banker. And I wonder if the banker bet might do better.
Yeah, it would do better because it has a lower house advantage, but I based it all on the player bet because it's an even money bet, and so I felt it was easier to explain it with the player bet.
That makes sense. So since that was a pretty easy one to answer, let's do one more from Gasipi. Oh, I had totally butchered that. I am so sorry. They say, I am trying to learn video poker strategy, and your perfect video poker strategy. His perfect does video poker strategy have to be lower for the house edge? Sorry, I tried on that one. For example,
Okay.
if the proper play for a hand gives a return.
I'm not sure exactly what he's asking here.
Okay.
I will say that with many games, including video poker, there's a trade-off between the complexity of the strategy and how powerful it is. But you can get pretty close to optimal strategy about 0.1% away with a simple strategy that you could fit on just like one index card like this. So I hope that helps, but to be honest, I wasn't exactly sure what the question was.
If we didn't answer your question, could you please rephrase it and put it in the chat, and we will get to it later. And then do you want to do one more casino question?
Sure.
Okay, this one is from Matt, and he says, quick question on historical craps hold. UNLV has a report that so far this year, the hold on craps is over 16.5%, and historically it is around 12.5%. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Okay, first of all, let me explain to the audience the difference between house advantage and hold. The house advantage is how much a particular bet that the casino can expect to win. For example, if the house advantage is 1%, then it means that of that bet, on average, the casino will get 1% and the player will get back 99%. Now, the hold means that when the player walks up to a table and let's say he presents $1,000 and he plays for a while and the house edge grinds him down and he walks away with 700, that would mean that for that session, the hold was 30%. In other words, the player lost 30% of the actual money that he presented at the table. So because over time, that house advantage is going to grind you down, the hold is typically much more than the house advantage. So, so you're saying that the hold on craps is over 16.5%, and historically it's around 12%. Why? Frankly, I just don't know. And, sometimes I like to speculate, but for this one, I just don't know.
I know that Las Vegas has seen a higher increase in people playing. Would it have something to do with more people betting on the tables?
Well, the number of players shouldn't make any difference as long as their betting behavior is the same.
And you can't count inflation.
Let's not muddy the waters with that, but inflation shouldn't make any difference either. It might be that craps is just getting new players that don't know what they're doing. And, old tough players are dying off. Just a theory. It might not be true.
Maybe these are all the players that watch the YouTube videos on strategies on how to win at craps.
Well, if they're watching my videos, they should, the hold would be going down because I'm teaching people properly.
Correct.
But yeah, maybe the world is finding other craps videos on YouTube by quacks that are giving bad advice, as opposed to mine.
So if you guys have a question that you want to ask Mike, go ahead and put it in the chat and we will get to it as soon as we can. For the answer to the trivia question, this was the last Queen Elizabeth trivia question we had. Matt Delaney got it. It was true. She does have all of those animals.
And the reason I guessed true was I love the show The Crown. And in one of the early episodes, the Queen and her future husband, Philip, went on a trip to, or maybe was she married at the time? No, I don't think they had gotten married yet, but they went on a trip to Africa, I think to Zimbabwe, which might have been Rhodesia at the time. And there was a scene where they were basically like staying in a treehouse, but they were walking around on the ground, and an angry elephant came along and was making a lot of noise and shaking around and acting tough. And Prince Philip told the Queen to get into the treehouse while he distracted it, and he was talking tough to the. I'm sorry. Let me silence this. So Prince Philip was distracting the elephant so the Queen could escape. And what does this have to do with it? Well, the Queen really seemed to like this trip and to like the animals. And I could envision Rhodesia giving her a giraffe and an elephant and whatever else you said as gifts. But she probably, left them in the same place. And I doubt she took them back to England. But you never know. Maybe they lived at the zoo.
That's pretty interesting. So
Yeah.
how close is the show, the Queen, to historical events?
I'm sure that people could debate that. Like I once overheard a reporter yell a question at Prince Harry, something like, "Do you like The Crown?" And he said something like, "It's good fiction." So the show clearly was based on factual events, but there were a lot of things that they just didn't know. For example, there was the incident where somebody broke into Buckingham Palace and got into the Queen's bedroom. Ooh. and basically and nobody knew this, and the Queen came in and kept his attention for like half an hour before a guard came along and caught him. And who knows what they really talked about, but the show shows this whole conversation between the two that I'm sure that they imagined that they might have had based upon this individual and what he was griping about and why he did it.
Wow.
So, to be honest, I really don't know, but they probably did the best they could between balancing what they did know about these events and making good television.
Right. Creative liberties and all that. I'm surprised they didn't hire her on as a consultant. Okay. Tell us all about your life. We're ready.
Oh, I'm sure they would have loved to have her as a consultant, but she would have had nothing to do with it.
No.
She would have said our secrets are our secrets, and I'm not telling you anything that's not already common knowledge.
Yep, exactly. Okay, so now we have done a few trivia questions for the Queen to honor her. So we are going to move on to Star Trek. And these are easy, so you guys should be able to get these. So our first Star Trek trivia question is, what alien creatures multiply when you feed them?
Oh, I know.
So if you guys know the answer to that, put that in the chat. Yes, you are right, Mike.
I may have spelled it wrong, though.
It's okay. I knew what you were talking about.
And I have one somewhere here.
You do?
Remember when they gave us them at the G2E?
Yes, that was fun. I have one over there I could go get. I love them. Okay, so are you ready for your next casino question?
Hit me.
Okay. So this was from the person that we were trying to figure out what the question was. I am trying to learn video poker strategy. How perfect does video poker have to be for it to be worthwhile? For example, if the best play for a hand returns 2.45, but you actually play a hand that returns 2.2, is that okay?
No, that's a 0.225 error. And let me just say that video poker is mostly about just finding a good pay table. And then once you do that, I'm not saying you need to play optimal strategy, but you shouldn't be making huge mistakes like that. If there's a really borderline play and you blow that one, okay. But I would be really angry at myself if I made a 0.25 error. video poker is it's a tough game to play well, and especially fast. But yeah, but I would also throw out that I have a really good video poker trainer on my website, and that will tell you when you make an error and the degree of that error. But you really should be able to play for free on that trainer well before you bet significant amounts of real money.
So they go to your website, wizardofodds.com, and then they go where to find the trainer.
Well, let me show you.
Oh,
share screen.
I love it when we can do this.
Okay, let's do it on this screen. Do you see my screen? Okay, let me open up another browser. And I hope I don't crash. My computer's been crashing a lot lately.
Oh no.
No, let me leave. Let me go back to the original monitor. Share screen. And I'm going to go with our screen.
Okay. Got it.
Okay, so you see my screen?
I see your, yep, I see your screen.
Okay, so let's go to Wizard of Odds. And
okay, then, now I'm sharing.
Okay, then you go to Play for Fun, and I'll click View All. So we scroll down to, and I have a lot of video pokers, but let's just do the standard single hand. And it's already on 9-6 jacks or better. So you just, and it's just like playing it. But okay, so here's, I'm going to make a mistake, and it pains me to do this. But the correct play here is to hold the jack only. But let's say that I'm a bad player and I go for the inside straight. Oh, and let me click on Warn on Strategy Errors. So I click Draw, and you can see it says that is not the best play. So I'm going to click OK.
That is so cool.
And let's get rid of these, and then click Draw, and then it plays out the hand. And so here the correct play is 2 6s, yeah, it's so hard for me to make mistakes. So let's say here that I hold the ace here when the correct play is to hold the 2 5s. You can see, again, it gives me that warning. And yeah.
That's really nice that you have that for the players.
Oh yeah, and I have it for all kinds of games. And this is one of the, in my opinion, one of the best features on the site. Okay, but let's stop sharing. Okay, that is my advice on that one.
Beautiful. Okay, so the answer to the trivia question is, let's see who has it. Lots of you guys had it. Who had it first? Okay, the first person to guess it correctly was Myrtle. It's tribbles.
Tribbles.
Ah!
Why don't you tell the audience what a tribble is?
So a tribble is an alien species that if you feed them, they will multiply.
And do they multiply asexually, or are there genders?
You have the hungry gender and then the not hungry gender.
Okay. But if I may tell the story, I think you once went to a Star Trek convention and you dressed and you were holding a tribble.
Yes.
And one time we ran into a friend of mine at G2E, and she was promoting a Star Trek slot machine, and they gave us both tribbles.
Yep.
And I still have it somewhere, but I forgot where I put it.
If you guys want to know, I'll only say, well, I'll be polite and I'll only say one. One of the places that you don't want to hold a tribble is under your arm, because then it doesn't look good. So if you have to hold the tribble, don't hold it under your arm.
That doesn't bother me.
Okay. So our next trivia question is, which next generation crew member became a traveler? So if you guys know, put the answer to that in the chat. And our next gambling question comes from Jason. Can your element of risk on the Wizard of Oz site be updated for additional comes? Craps, for example, is missing, as is roulette.
Well, in roulette, in both those games, there aren't like raise bets or doubling down. There are not subsequent wagers. So for games where the main bet is just the bet, there's no other drawing more money into it. The house advantage is the same as the element of risk. So that's why I don't list those games in that table.
Okay, good to know. And then our next one, while we're waiting for you guys to answer. In Blackjack, if the dealer's up card is a 10, what is the probability that he wins?
I think this is on my site somewhere. I'm not going to slow down the show by looking for that, but it's the player is certainly at a big disadvantage if the dealer's showing a 10. I'm just going to roughly estimate that the player can probably expect to lose probably like 20% of his bet if the dealer's showing a 10, which I know is different than the probability of winning. But I think the expected value is the important statistic in a game like Blackjack, where there's raising and splitting, and so it isn't just win or lose. You might win or lose more than your original bet. So there is my answer to that.
Sounds good. Okay, so let's see what you guys have for the answer to the trivia question. And we have the triples are born pregnant. I guess that means that they're all female. Oh, here we go. Myrtle got it. It is Wesley Crusher. Woo! Good job. Okay, so our next question is, Oh, go ahead.
I was going to ask if Wesley Crusher was the one who's played by the actor Will Wheaton.
Yep, that's him.
Yeah, so he is a fairly major character in the later episodes of The Big Bang Theory.
Yes, I love him on that. And he comes back in Picard, too. I was really excited to see that.
Mm-hmm.
So what is Captain Sisko's favorite sport? And this was on Deep Space Nine. What is Captain Sisko's favorite sport? So if you guys know the answer, put it in the chat. And our next gambling question comes from, actually, it's not a gambling question. It's a Las Vegas question. What is the water situation in Las Vegas from the perspective of two Las Vegas residents?
Okay, well, I'll go first.
Okay.
Where should I start? Yeah, this is a significant long-term problem that needs to be addressed. I will say that it's not that complicated to address it. Most of the water that comes down the Colorado River is allocated to desert farming, most of that in California around the Salton Sea. And I think that we just need to face reality that we're going to need to cut back on that water subsidy to California. And I'm not saying cut it off completely, but we're going to need to say no to some of the farmers that do desert farming, either randomly or by increasing the price of the water, who knows what. And everyone's going to say how much we depend on that farming for vegetables, especially in the winter. But, we will figure something out. if people can eat in places like Iceland and Greenland, where it's practically impossible to farm, we'll figure something out. We may need to get used to eating, different food or import vegetables from other places, but simply we need to cut back on that subsidy. And another option is desalinization. Some cities like Santa Barbara are already relying on desalinization for something like 20% of their water. However, desalinization is expensive. But worst case scenario is we just need to do more desalinization on the coast. So rather than, say, the LA area getting their share from the Colorado River, we just provide them whatever they're entitled to with desalinized water, to leave more water upstream. And a lot of people will wag their finger at Las Vegas saying, you guys are so wasteful of water. And there is some legitimacy to that point, but we cannot conserve our way out of this problem. Las Vegas, I'm pretty sure, consumes less than 1% of Colorado River water. So we need to make big decisions here. We need, and let me make a prediction here, is we do nothing until things get to a crisis level and the water in Lake Mead is so low that it doesn't reach the pipe anymore, the intake pipe. And then we'll do probably exactly what I just said. But nothing gets done until it's a true, until it's a crisis level when it comes to government. So that is about all I have to say. So Heather, what is your opinion?
Well, I agree with you on the farming. When you have farmers farming alfalfa, which is a water intense crop, and then they ship it across seas, so it could be, feed for animals. That's not exactly a good way to use our water.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second thing, besides the alfalfa crops, is Las Vegas has known about this for 20 years. Like, I remember in the 2000s when I was just fresh out of high school, they were talking about how the water was getting lower every year for Lake Mead and how we saw the bathtub ring. And they've known for 20 years and we haven't come up with a solution yet. So I don't think they're going to come up with a solution in the next 30 to 60 days.
Yeah, and to that I would say that California is going to fight tooth and nail to lose their water subsidy, but I think that the federal government needs to step in, and the federal government is higher than state government, and just say, California, tough, you're losing half your water for farming.
Completely. Okay, you ready for the next one?
Yep.
Okay. This is from Paul. I recently learned that some slots, such as the River Dragon, have randomly determined maximum progressives. Is this a good advantage to know what these maximums are?
Do you understand what he's asking?
I don't understand slots.
What I think that he's referring to is that some slots like River Dragons have a must hit by jackpot that might start at, say, $500 and it must hit by $1,000. But yeah, to be honest, I don't understand what you're asking. So please try to rephrase the question.
Okay, one more.
Yeah. Oh, I wanted to address one that I saw.
Good.
A Candy Pinky about what is your favorite language to write gambling simulations in. I like C++. That's what I do all my gambling programming in. That's just what I learned in college, and that's what I love. To know C is to love C. And sometimes I have to use JavaScript for some things that are interactive on my website. But no, count me as a C kind of programmer till the day I die.
Awesome. What age did you learn that?
So I learned it in college, my sophomore year. So I probably would have been 19.
Okay.
So yeah, the first language I ever learned in high school was BASIC. And then in college, I also, my freshman year, they taught Pascal. Why, I have no idea. That was already a dying language in the early 80s. And, I also took a class in Fortran. I know JavaScript, Perl, Java. I used to know a little assembly, Unix mainframe. But yeah, given the choice, I will choose C every day.
Very cool. Okay, so let's see who got the answer to that trivia question. And Myrtle is killing it today. Myrtle got it. It is baseball. That is absolutely correct. Okay, so here's an easy one. Mike, I think you'll know this one.
Okay.
If someone is going on an away mission wearing a red shirt, what is expected to happen to that person?
And is this a Star Trek question?
Oh, yeah.
Someone is wearing a red shirt when they leave. What is expected to happen to them?
Mm-hmm.
Is this only for me?
Oh, no, this is for our audience. So
Okay.
if anyone knows, put it in the chat.
Okay, I'm just going to take a guess here, but
okay. Yeah, basically.
Yay, that was a lucky guess.
That was a good guess. Okay, so our next gambling question comes from, let's see. Okay, I don't understand, so I hope you understand. In ENHC games where the up card is a 10 and the player has a 3-card 16, is it mathematically better to stand more often?
Okay, so ENHC stands for European No Hole Card. So in Europe, they don't deal the dealer a hole card. So if you double it or split against a 10 or an ace, and then the dealer draws to a blackjack, you lose everything. So the American rule is better because the dealer peaks, so you don't have to play against a hand where you can't win. So if the player has a 3-card 16, is it mathematically to stand more often? I know under the American rules, if you have a 16 composed of 3 or more cards, in general, it is better to stand on that because 16 against a 10 is a very borderline play. And if you have a 3-card 16, it's going to be composed of cards that have an average value of 5 2/3, which is a small card. Therefore, just those cards themselves increase the count, making it more likely that if you hit, you get a big card and bust. So if it's European no hole card, that should not make any difference. So I would say the answer is yes, you should stand more often. But the rule of thumb I like to use with a 16 against a 10 is if your hand has a 4 or a 5 in it, then you should stand because you need those 4 and 5s to improve your 16 to a 20 or 21. So if there's just one extra one missing, it sways the odds in favor of standing. And I will also survey the table if it's a face-up game, and if I'm not counting in the first place, just to see if the other players have 4s and 5s.
That's a really good point. I like that you brought that up. So every 4 and 5 that you see is less chance that you're going to get that 4 or 5.
Yep.
So before we move on, we have a quick statement from Chuck. He wanted to say thank you. Your strategy card for Ultimate Texas Hold'em has improved my results on the game. Many players copied it, and I gave you and your site full credit. The pit boss also snapped a couple of photos of it.
All right. Well, let me show you my UTH strategy card. And
yeah, let's see that.
I'm surprised you have one because I don't sell them. I just give them away to friends. But I have this whole bin full of strategy cards. Here we go. So here's my Ultimate Texas Hold'em strategy card. You can see the situations where you should make the large raise. And and also the medium raise, 2 pair or better, a hidden pair except pocket twos, or 4 to a flush, including a hidden 10 or higher. And yeah, it just shows you when to make those raise bets. And you can see it's nice and short. And I highly recommend Ultimate Texas Hold'em, because playing with that strategy, you have a low element of risk of just 0.5%, which compared to other games is really low. So it's a very good value for your money. It also tends to comp well because the casinos, I tend to think that they think that carnival game players lose more money, but I also find it fun. It's a very engaging game with the other players. Yeah, so I just wanted to put in a good plug for Ultimate Texas Hold'em.
Awesome. I love
games in the casino.
I love seeing your little drawer full of strategies and everything.
Oh yeah, yes. Yeah. Here's another look. So on the back of my card, by the way, I have the 4-card poker strategy. You don't see that game much anymore. Here's a Mississippi Stud. Here's a bunch of miscellaneous games. This is my video poker cheat sheet, which is just printed off of my website, but it shows the return of different pay tables for different games. And some strategy cards are by other people. For example, this is the one by this is the same thing as what I just showed you, but in a laminated format. And yeah, here's one of Bob Dancer's video poker cards, very well worn. And you just have countless blackjack strategy charts. So I also have attempted to partner with somebody that made these Wizard of Oz strategy cards, but that business idea never got very far. And here's yet another video poker guide. But the second edition of my book has that exact same kind of thing, not just for video poker, but also for video Keno. And here's also like a collection of basic strategy cards according to different rules. But I love strategy cards. And a good way to make them is just print something off of my site and get it laminated at a place like Home Depot.
That's a really good suggestion. I love that.
Thanks.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see if you guys got the answer to the trivia question. And Imbriago, I'm going to butcher your name. I apologize so much. You got it. You are correct. Red shirts, they die. So it's expected for red shirts to die. Absolutely correct. I am so sorry I butcher your name every time.
I think it's Giuseppe.
Giuseppe. You say it so much better than I do.
I'm still probably mispronouncing it.
You're doing a hell of a lot better than me. So our next trivia question is: name the 2 species that famously has green and blue skin. So what are the 2 species that famously have green and blue skin? So if you know the answer to that, put that in the chat. And our next gambling question, we are running out of time, so get your questions in there. Matt says, in craps, I buy the 5 and 9 for $38, $58, $78, and $98. Then I put it for $10 and 200 odds. Isn't this optimal as opposed to placing the 5 and 9?
This question is awfully specific, and I think I would need to do the math to answer it properly. So maybe you can send me that as an Ask the Wizard question, but I'm not. I don't want to get into it on this show because I just, frankly, I'm only half sure what you're asking. So
Okay.
that's more appropriate as an Ask the Wizard question.
So if people want to put ask the wizard question, if they want to submit a question for you, where do they go?
You can, the best way to reach me is through the Wizard of Vegas forum. So sign up for that, and you can send me a private message or go to contact at Wizard of Odds and file it. And it'll ask you what type of question it is and file it as a gambling question, and it will get to me.
Okay, sounds good.
So, yeah, if there's no more questions, I can show you guys some Burning Man pictures.
We would love to see Burning Man pictures for sure. I think we have one or two more questions.
Okay.
What do you want to do first?
Let's ask the questions real quick.
Okay. John says, what is the roulette strategy that you play when you are at the casinos?
First of all, I never play roulette. The house edge is too high. But if you're playing roulette, then it doesn't really make any difference because the house advantage is the same on every single bet, except if you're playing European roulette that gives you half back on even money bets. If the ball lands in zero, then you should only make even money bets. And of course, game selection is really important. Like if your choices are single, double, or triple zero roulette, of course, play single. If it's only between double and triple, then play double. You want as few zeros as possible. And if you are playing double zero roulette, do not make the 5-number combination between 0, double zero, 1, 2, and 3, as that one has a 7.89% house advantage as compared to 5.26 of all the other bets. So what's the other question?
That's really good to know. I'm really glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
Our other question is, a couple of months ago in Wendover, the dealers and myself had the exact same 3 cards. It happened 4 times that week. What are the odds of that happening?
I assume he's talking about Blackjack. And I would need to know if the suits are included, but the short answer is I just don't know. It would be mathematically involved to answer.
Okay, sounds good.
I can't do very well with that one on short notice.
You are doing good.
Okay, so I'll just show you guys a few Burning Man pictures. So
okay, let's see them.
Do you see my screen?
Yeah, we are getting it up here.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Okay, so let me do it this way. I'll start out with a little movie. Can any of you guys guess where this is?
Where is it?
So that is the Clown Motel in Tonopah.
There it is.
Yes, which you always pass through between Vegas and Reno, as I did this trip on my way. So I always pay my respects to the Clown Motel. And it's under new ownership. The new owner is the friendliest guy, really nice guy. I think he's from Pakistan. So please patronize the Clown Motel if you're ever passing through. If you don't need a room, they have lots of souvenirs you can buy. The guy has a great sense of humor about clowns. So I just wanted to put in a little plug there.
If you want clowns to be staring at you when you're about to go to sleep and freak you out, perfect place. Perfect.
I don't understand this fear of clowns.
They're creepy.
Okay, so this is the math camp at Burning Man. Notice that it is in the shape of a tetrahedron with the pie on top. They serve pie every day at 3:14. And I gave a lecture about the mathematics of gambling while I was there. But very nice, smart people that are behind at the math camp. Who knows? Maybe I might ask to join them in a future year. And there's some pictures I have to be really careful not to show.
I'm ready when you are. So just get them ready, and then we'll put them up when you're ready.
Okay. let's do this. I'll just show some pictures real quick. So this is the center camp. No, it's not. This is the Brainy Bar. This was another camp that I really liked, meant for, I guess, brainy people. Not to say that I am one, but I'll just say that I enjoyed the company. And
you are a part of Mensa.
Well, you know, I don't like to toot my own horn, and maybe I just the best. This is where they sold ice. The only thing you can buy at Burning Man. It was closed at the time. This was the Burning Man post office. This is one of just many art cars. And these things look much better at light when they're all lit up with LED lights, but it's difficult to get good pictures at night. This was one of many like little churches. This was like the street, for lack of a better term, that takes you between the center camp and the Man. And this is just random art cars and art. This was a big fork. Swings are big there, and this swing supported a couch. This was the temple. This is where people put signs and pictures of people that they have lost. You can see that better here, you know, on this close-up. This is yet another example of the kind of thing that gets stapled or taped all over to the temple. And here's just more art. This was the Man itself. And here's another view of the Man. And this is the kind of thing about Burning Man that I love is this guy here in the black and the tuxedo. He is some professional musician that gave a little concert at the Man on a Steinway piano. So it must have been at enormous expense and damage to the piano to lug it there. But that's the kind of thing that you see at Burning Man that I just love. And he had finished the concert by the time this picture was taken, and it was the piano tuner playing it.
Wow.
And you see a lot of police presence there, like this vehicle. And now this I just loved. These honey bear containers were like 18 feet high. And nobody's at them right now because it was early in the morning. But at night, people were just climbing all over these things and having a great time. And they were inflatable, and which is how you could punch them and climb on them. If you look carefully at this chair, they called it the vagina chair. So look carefully at the upholstery.
Why? Oh, wait a minute. Let's get a bigger.
Let's see if I can magnify.
Oh, jeez. I see.
And do you notice the little pearls on each one?
Oh my God. We might be censored on YouTube.
No, I think they will have a sense of humor about that. So this is the center camp. Okay. Let me show you some pictures of me. I didn't take many pictures of myself this trip. Have any of you guys heard? Okay, so the Wordplay Cafe was one of my favorite camps, and you could play the daily Wordle on these erase sheets. And on Friday, I got it in 2, so I was quite happy about that. Where's another one? There's so few pictures of me this trip. Where's my Wonder Hussy picture? While I look for that, no, that's not it. Okay, so this is another one that is a little bit risque, but this is Wonder Hussy, and I love Wonder Hussy. She's a YouTube celebrity, and she does a lot of videos about exploring the Southwest, especially abandoned cabins and obscure hot springs and things like that. And she's very good about doing one video a week. And I think that we share the same kind of sense of adventure and love of the Southwest. But in this picture, she gave a performance that I'm too shy to explain. But I'm sure that she will be writing about it on her channel when she gets back to the real world. I think she's still there. But I was so honored to meet her. and see her show. And yeah, and I think that that's all the pictures I'm going to show because I know we're running low on time.
That looks like a lot of fun.
Oh, I had some great times there, but also bad times. But I talked about that earlier in the show. So yeah, with that, let's wrap this up.
Okay, we are going to real quick say the answer to the trivia question, and then when is the next time you want to do this? And
So,
Myrtle's the one that got it correct. It's the
Mhm.
Orions and the Andorians. The Andorians are blue, Orions are green.
Okay, so let's make it between G2E and some other engagements I have to do. Let's go all the way to October 20th for the next live stream.
Okay, sounds good.
I apologize for the long break, but that's just what my schedule allows.
Life.
And, okay.
Okay, so check us out October 20th and 3 p.m., same exact time. Bring your questions. And Mike, it was really good seeing you.
Great to see you too, Heather. Thank you so much. And thank you, audience, for your participation and questions.
Thank you, guys. See you next time.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.